Hello everyone and welcome back to a new video in my new studio, which is so exciting. It's the first time I've actually filmed a video in this room. As I mentioned in my previous video, we've just moved house. We're just kind of getting to grips with everything. So I apologize in advance on things like lighting, sound. If they're a little bit off, it's just because we're working with them. It's trial and error, but I really just wanted to get going, get some videos out there. So hopefully we're okay. And then we'll tweak things as we go in terms of sound and lighting and what works best. But really it's just a case of trial and error and figuring it out as we go. We're all self-taught at YouTube, videography, filming, setups, cameras, sound. So like I said, it's just kind of learn as we go. So just bear with us on that for the time being, but hopefully we're not too bad. So today's video I'm really looking forward to because it's an 80s style video. Basically how to give your outfits a more glamorous spin. And I would say the 80s lends itself so nicely to creating a more glamorous look. It was quite a dressy era, especially as time went into the late 80s, early 90s. That's when I kind of really resonate with that era. And I think there's some really nice pieces and takeaways from that time that we can use into our modern day dressing, make it feel more glam, give it that almost old money kind of style. And there are also actually really easy ways you can do this. This is mainly accessories, if not pretty much all accessories, that you can use to alter your outfits, make them feel a little bit more glamorous and give them that 80s nod. So without further ado, let's get into tip number one. So I'm going to be using some simple outfits in this video, all the same jeans, which are actually a slightly 80s nod kind of jean. They're a balloon shaped jean. They do kind of have that 80s feel, especially as the 80s was so much about the waist. I think the balloon style really creates that shape. So I went for those, but just kept it pretty simple, black knit, black blazer to kickstart things, because I just want to show that accessories really transform the outfit and you don't have to go out and buy a whole new wardrobe to create these kind of looks. So my first tip to creating that 80s vintage style is with an oversized earring. And I would specify that the earring should probably be quite flat and oversized rather than like a kind of dangly oversized or anything like that. I think the 80s look was very much about that flat, rounded style, maybe a big square style, but it does sit quite close to the ear and have that real vintage feel. You have to go oversized with this to create the look. So these particular earrings are vintage actually. They're from a brand called Alice Skewis, who does some really beautiful vintage pieces, but there's loads like this at the moment because the 80s are having a little bit of a moment. We are seeing lots of big oversized jewelry like this. So I'll try and link some alternatives below, but earrings are a really good place to start and so easy as well. Next will probably come as no surprise because again, this is very much having a spotlight moment in our current day, and that is the hair bow. We've seen bows everywhere, especially over Christmas, bows in the house, decorational bows, and bows in the hair, and bows is definitely an 80s feel. This one is from Jennifer Behr, but we've got so many out there at the minute, lots on the high street, lots of different sizes. So if you didn't want to go for one this size, then you can find kind of alternatives. I would say something that feels particularly 80s is the velvet bow. That velvet fabric definitely has that 80s feel. So go for a bow look. I just love the way it looks. I think it just looks really cool, but keep the rest of your outfit fairly minimal and simple. And I think that's the key throughout all of these, is you don't want to go too over the top with all of these pieces. So for my next one, I did want to do a more oversized belt, but I didn't really own one. And I thought this belt actually kind of fit the bill quite nicely. So my next tip is an oversized belt or something wider belt. And I think this one works particularly well because of the patent, like the black croc feel to it. I do feel like that's quite an 80s texture as well, particularly the patent, the high shine feels very 80s on this YSL belt that I'm using. Again, it doesn't have to be this one, so many out there that you could use. You could go for just like a wider, plain black band if you want to. When I was looking at Pinterest images for this, there were some really nice images I saw, 80s shots, like model shots, wearing like nice wide belts with skirts works really nicely, but definitely go towards the wider side if we're doing this 80s look. And the patent just adds those extra 80s points on there. But I think, yeah, a belt, again, really easy way to do this, but try not keep it too over the top. For example, I've taken the bow out of my hair because I didn't want to be doing the bow and the belt. I think the 80s was a little bit maximalist, and you don't want to kind of go too much down that route again and feel like you're doing fancy dress. Next is the shoulder pad. So I love a shoulder pad. I've loved a shoulder pad for a while, but I do think, again, we are seeing that bit of an 80s revival at the minute. So there are plenty of shoulder pad pieces on the high street. I got this jumper actually several years ago. It's from Iro. I got it in the sale just after Christmas, and I've worn this so much. It's still a piece I reach for time and time again. It comes with the inbuilt shoulder pads. Now, what I would say is that whilst we're talking more about accessories, you can actually buy separate shoulder pads and either sew them into your jumpers if you wanted to, or you can buy ones that you can just pop inside a jumper, a top, a blazer, just to give it that extra 80s feel if you wanted to. So don't feel like you need to go out and buy loads of shoulder pad pieces if you've not got them. You can actually just buy a shoulder pad. I'll try and find some. I'm sure there'll be something on Amazon, and I'll link it below, where you can just pop it into your top to create that look. So moving on to a shoe, and something that just feels so 80s to me is a slingback heel. I would say the 80s probably were a little bit more pointed and high heeled, maybe even a patent version of these shoes, but I just think you can kind of do that 80s look in a modern twist, in a modern way. So I've gone for this lower heeled slingback here. But I do think the slingback, or at least the pointed toe, is quite crucial for that 80s nod and 80s look. So I've just gone for my old ones from Market, and I paired them, again, very simply with the jeans. You don't want to go too over the top with all of these things. So again, onto headwear, and hairbands are a huge part of the 80s look, that late 80s, also early 90s kind of look. Headbands are a big deal. So there's two styles of headbands that I think work really nicely to create this kind of look. The first is more of a stretch headband, almost like a kind of, not a workout band, but almost in that kind of way. Stretchy headband that you kind of put at the front of your head, or at least kind of you have maybe a small gap with your hairline on show. So, and that you can actually put over your ears as well. I think that looks really nice, like a kind of slightly woolly one, almost creates that Last Christmas George Michael music video kind of look, that kind of 80s cozy winter look. So if you've got a woolly one, I think it would be a really nice replacement for a hat. And then it looks so good with the big earrings as well. And I do think you can pair a few of these pieces together. I would say maybe don't go for more than 3 items of the 80s together. I think 3 is a good number to do. So you could do something like the earrings, the headband, and maybe the belt or the balloon jeans even, but just don't go too far into that. So love a stretch headband, and it keeps your ears warm at this time of year. And I just think it just adds something to your outfit, and it's pretty easy to wear. Really affordable as well. This one's from Amazon, and the next one I'm going to show you also from Amazon. So the next one is an actual kind of headband, Alice band style. Again, it's velvet, so talking about those 80s textures that we can add in there. Some velvet works really nicely. This one again from Amazon, which I think it just looks really expensive, and it was really, really affordable. I got it last year or the year before, worn it so much. And this one you just kind of place on top of your head, almost like a crown effect. Again, that has a very 80s feel to it, especially if you wore it maybe with some pearls. Pearls is another one actually. I wanted to do like a pearl necklace, but I don't have one. So unfortunately I couldn't include that, but you could go for pearls in your earrings as well. But definitely pearl details as an added bonus is a really great 80s accessory. So finally, something I'm wearing now, and that is the red lip. A red lip is an iconic 80s piece of makeup, but I mean, it was just the go-to. Bright red lip and you're kind of done. So this one is a Lisa Eldridge one. I love this color. It's called Velvet Ribbon, and I think it would suit so many skin tones as well. Really nice red, really nice texture as well. So I will link that below if I can. but any kind of red. I'm sure we all have a red lipstick in our makeup wardrobes, and it does just add that 80s feel, especially if you combine it with maybe one or two of your 80s pieces. Like I've kept the well, actually these are different earrings. I thought the rounded ones were a little bit over the top, so I've gone for something slightly smaller because I kept the belt on as well. So you can kind of do that and balance it out a bit if you wanted to. Say if you wanted to go for the really wide belt and earrings, you could go for a slightly smaller earring just to give it a slightly more subtle feel to it. But a red lip, really iconic, very easy, very affordable way to give your outfit that very glamorous 80s feel. And like I say, I think all of these pieces look so nice, kind of mix and match, but just be careful not to wear them all together at once. I've done a bit of a demonstration of this. I think it can look a little bit over the top, a little bit fancy dress, a little bit pantomime if you wear everything together. You don't want to kind of repeat history, but you just want to have that spin on the 80s. I think there's so many good elements we can take away from the 80s, but I think one of the things to leave behind in the 80s is that full-on maximalism where it's kind of more is more is more. I think it's nice to do one or two subtle pieces and combine it in a more modern, minimal way and just have a nice fusion of the two. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, found it useful and enjoyed the outfits and accessories. Let me know if you're going to be creating any of these or using any of your accessories that you already own to create that 80s look. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for sticking with me whilst I had my little hiatus last month whilst we were moving. But there'll be lots more video content to come. So thank you again. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.